And welcome to the Self-Service Podcast, Hayley. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I was literally thinking like how long we've actually known each other. And I know it was like our school days, but I couldn't remember how we actually met because obviously we didn't go to the same school.
It's weird because I can't remember, but I kind of just, was friends with Ellie, and obviously you girls were all close and hanging out. And I just kind of like scooped in from, the rivalry school and was like there, from Bognor school. But I was like, yeah. And then we just, hung out, went to some parties.
We started really young. I was thinking that like we were
Yeah.
partying, going out like at such a young age.
Okay, like 14. Like it was bad. It was bad.
But it's so good to have a fellow Bognorian on the podcast. I've had a couple now, and I feel like they're the best conversations. And I think it's funny how in life you kind of like come full circle with people, like you kind of go off on different paths, and yet I feel like you kind of reconnect, especially in this time of our life. I don't know if you felt the same.
100%. And well, it's just social media, isn't it? Personally, like keeps you all connected.
Yeah.
Like just end up. I mean, I talk to people that I've met like years ago, like, and I don't speak to them for ages. Then I'll like reply to their story, and then you just end up having a conversation with them, which is great because like you would never have done that,
Yeah, true. And I think there's this I think also when it's people from like years ago and you've got them on social media, there's something about you feel like you kind of know them still.
Yeah, 100%. It's like you're updated. Yeah, exactly. You know exactly what's going on in their lives.
And it's kind of weird. You'll see someone and be like, oh yeah, weren't you doing this recently? And like, before we would never have that insight.
Yeah, we're just so nosy, aren't we, about people's lives? You're like, did you mean you give that girl the other day? They're like, how did you know that? And I'm like, oh, I saw your story. Shit, I'm just watching your stories all the time.
Yeah, I'm just actually like creeping on you. Yeah, I've been really trying to like not post so much on Instagram, but it's hard. It is hard. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think, as you'll know from some kind of like listening to some of the episodes before, I really the whole reason behind the podcast is about navigating life through our sort of 20s and 30s, and how that isn't always just a linear kind of journey, and it's such a roller coaster of experiences and challenges. I know you have so much of that in your story that I'm really excited for you to share with our listeners and to talk into. So really, really grateful to have you. But could you maybe tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yeah, so well, I'm Hayley, 31 now, was 31 in March, so just recently turned 31. I am a freelance graphic designer, and I've been a graphic designer for the last, I'd say, oh God, 5 years maybe. I think it's been 5 years, like navigated the freelance world for 5 years. It's been tough. From Bognor, yeah, it's been mad. Yeah, from Bognor, West Sussex, the one and only. What else is there to say about? It's hard when someone says, "Tell you about yourself." It's like, what else is there to say? I'm 5'4". I've got ginger hair. What else is there to say? Yeah, like your identity is like what you do, isn't it? And where you're from.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think, I don't know about you, I tell people way more now that I'm from Bognor than I ever did. Like that whole period of time when I was in uni, I used to just pretend that I was from Brighton. And like never say the words Bognor. And now like I feel actually quite proud. Like, yeah, do you know what? It's part of my identity. That's where I grew up. This is what makes me me.
Yeah, I love that actually. That's quite nice. I haven't actually had that perspective on it, but that's actually, yeah, because I'm still a little bit like, oh yeah, but I like that because it is like who you are. It's like that's actually shaped me to the person I am now. So I like that perspective. I haven't actually looked at that. I haven't got to that point in my life yet. But I like
Still
that.
saying it's a shell.
Yeah, well, I had 3 years recently in it, so I was like, okay, there's nothing for me to do here, or I'm actually bored out my mind. Yeah.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about kind of obviously we're going to go into your journey leading up to you reaching 30, but I'd love to hear a bit more about kind of how you from growing up in Bognor then sort of were led to your studies in London for a little while, and maybe how that shaped things. Could you talk to us a bit about that?
Yeah, so like from where before moving to London, like I was obviously, you know, I was at school, but the creativity side of like where it kind of all began was just me drawing in my bedroom for ages. Like, and I don't know, in a way, I think it was an escapism, to be honest, a lot of it, you know, because I would just draw and want to show people what I've created for that kind of like feeling that praise as well. So I kind of did that like throughout my childhood, also leading up for my teenage years, like to like 19 is when I went back to college. But I didn't actually know that I was going to go into something creative because I didn't think I could make any money from it. Like everyone always says, you've got, especially in Bognor, it's very like labor, you know, like construction, beauty. I feel like they were the only options for us to do, and I did go down the beauty path, but it didn't feel right for me. But I finished college, did beauty for 2 years, worked as a support worker for 4 years, loved it.
As in care sort of
Yeah,
support.
So I was a support worker for 4 years, and I actually loved it because that's part of my personality. I do love caring for people, you know, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll be a nurse. But the thing is, I didn't stay in it because the pay is awful, like minimum wage, you know, and what you're facing, you know, you're getting attacked like left, right, and center, and it's a lot. But yeah, the creativity kind of like showed up again is when I was with a client, and I was kind of like having this one-to-one with him. It was like, and then I was like, we should do some like drawings and diagrams together, and he absolutely loved it, and so did I. Like I was like, okay, I think I like this more than you. And yeah, I used to just like draw these little pictures for him, like what he's going to eat today. It's like an apple, so I would draw apples and draw bananas and draw him like, you know, taking a walk, like all these illustrations. And then I was like, this feels really like right for me. Like I feel really like happy when I'm creating something. So then I had to go. So then I was like, okay, I want to do something about this. And then I went back to college. I was quite sneaky because you have to pay for it, but I just obviously lied and said this is my first time. So I got college for free.
Amazing.
So I was, yeah, because otherwise you'd have to pay like, I don't know, 5 grand or something for it. So yeah, I went to college, studied art and design after that, and then yeah, loved it. And then yeah, I was ready to like move to London after that. That was also my gateway of getting out of Bognor as well, because I was like, how am I going to leave Bognor when I'm not earning any money?
And was that how you were feeling at that time, that you just like wanted to get out?
I felt like that. I would say I felt like that from I don't know, from 17, so no, or 18, I'd say. Like I really wanted to go traveling. Like I felt like everyone was doing it. So yeah, that's when I kind of started thinking I actually really want to do a lot and like leave Bognor, go to London, experience that, then go and experience other places. And how I was going to get there was going to uni, because you get a loan. That was another reason, you know. It was like, absolutely. Oh, I got this money. Yeah.
Well, it's so expensive to study, isn't it? And yet, you know, unless you've got that, you know, it's kind of impossible. So what did you study in London then?
So I studied textile design originally, because I was like, I loved well, I still do love print. Print is still similar to what I do now. But I was like, I want to be a print designer. So that would be interior, like printing on curtains, you know, creating all those kind of patterns, or doing fashion prints, because it's like illustration but you're getting it printed on and it's being used by people. So it was kind of, yeah, it was something that I was like absolutely obsessed with. So yes, I did that for 3 years. And yeah, but that kind of like, that was a whole roller coaster, London was, because
Yeah, what was that like?
Yeah, because you're from Bognor, like a small little town, and then you go to London and you're meeting all these characters. And then that's when I was like, I realized like I was getting social anxiety, like all these things were coming up, like feeling like I like a lot of imposter syndrome, like a lot of things were coming up for me because I didn't have all this when I was in Bognor, because I was so comfortable. But then I was taken out of my comfort zone. And then I did feel like, you know, a bit of like, what do they call it? A small fish in a big pond or something? Is it? Is that the same?
I think so.
Yeah. I'm very bad at my sayings. But yeah, I felt, but then like that was at the beginning. And then obviously as I was there for like a few years and I got comfortable, I started working in pubs, and then started chatting to people. And then that's when like everything changed, you know, for me. I feel like working in pubs was in London like massively like a game changer, because you're dealing with all these people every day, you know. I was managing like pubs, like quite well-known ones in like Victoria Park. So yeah, I feel like that gave me a lot of confidence.
Yeah, how did that actually impact you? Because I can imagine that kind of, you know, I think people are quite dismissive often of that line of work, but because
Yeah,
obviously, you know, that wasn't what you were interested in at the time, but it's obviously given you so much. So like, how did that really impact you?
yeah, I feel like obviously like work, you have to work alongside going to uni in London, like that's just what you have to do. But for me, like it was great because like, I mean, I'd work in a pub, and you'll get like, we had like Alexa Chung that she used to go in there, like Nick Grimshaw, like, you know,
Oh,
those kind of
cool.
people used to come in there. We used to have like a really good crowd in there. Like it was a really creative environment, like living in East London, like next to Hackney Studios or Victoria Park. Like I worked in a couple of pubs, but you'd you'd be meeting loads of creative, like you'd be around artists like all the time. So like I'm talking to these people, like, you know, like finding out about their jobs, getting connections, um, going out with them, just making connections and like having fun with them, you know. Um, and then you realize, this is another thing as well, it's like you just realize actually like we're all the same. That was another thing. I used to think, oh, they're better than me because they're like got this job or they're doing this. But I'm actually like, everyone's just like all the same. We're all just kind of like on our own paths, doing our own thing. And yeah, these people were lovely. These people that I was intimidated by, once I became like friends with them and I was going out with them, I was like, actually, we're all just the same and everyone's just lovely, you know? So
That must have
yeah,
given you a lot of self-belief as well, to be like, oh, actually, you know, these people aren't kind of superhuman or have these ridiculous, outrageous skills that are so unattainable. Actually, these are normal people. But, you know, what was it about them that you thought, okay, maybe I could follow a creative path of my own?
I think it was just because they were so like open and accepting, you know, because I'm like, oh, like I'm just working in a bar, I'm just a student, this is my mentality, I'm
Yeah.
just this, I'm just this. They're not gonna want to hang out with me, like this was my mindset. And then actually like I'm chatting to these people who are like got these amazing jobs or doing amazing, or they're musicians or whatever. And then I'm going out with them or having like a night out with them. And then I'm like, oh, it's just all in my head. This is all in my head. Like no one's thinking this of me. This is my own insecurities. So that period from working in the pubs alongside going to uni was like massive growth for me. Like I transformed from the person that lived in Bognor to someone that was getting older, wiser, more educated, and I could feel that when I was there.
Yeah, and I think like you're talking about a massive like mindset shift, aren't you? And I love what you're kind of saying about network, and I think that's so powerful when you're interested in, for anyone listening that's kind of like interested in a particular line of work or even just a passion, actually finding people that are already in that, doing that, must be so helpful and give you so much insight. How did that sort of shape where you went with your kind of career path then?
So it didn't shape it massively then. I think it was more just understanding the industry, understanding other creatives. It was more like I networked with other creatives and realized their struggles and everything like that. So it's kind of making me feel like a little bit normal with struggling as an artist mentally, creatively. So that network didn't massively like evolve in the work that I'm doing now. It was more like I would say mindset and like a personality shift,
Yeah.
But I did get connections, like just networking with people through, and then these connections that's when my freelancing started, actually, is when I started like chatting to people about what I do. And then they would ask me, can you illustrate this? Can you illustrate that? And I was like, oh, like I didn't even think about that before. I didn't even know about freelancing before. I didn't even know that was something. I didn't even know about business. Like I wasn't like, I was just in the whole creative bubble. I wasn't even thinking about business. But then people were like, oh, you do illustrations. Can you create this illustration? So this was kind of like the start of the whole freelancing, oh, actually, I can have my own business. It's like this, I don't have to work for a company. I can be I can be my own business, I can just work for myself. So that's how they kind of like, I'd say networking definitely helped in London, because it kind of like planted that seed of like Hayley Jones Studios is what it's called, which actually was Hayley Jones Prints before, but yeah, that's when it kind of started in like 2019. The first illustration, the first commission.
So exciting. Do you remember what that illustration was?
Yeah, so it's for F45 actually. F45.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to go and work out there. I loved it. And yeah, one of the owners, like just chatting to him, saying what I do, and then he was like, can you create an illustration of the team, like the people that like work out there, like this class? So I was like, yeah, sure. Ended up being like 50 individual people that I drew. Like it was a massive illustration. Yeah, it was huge.
Awesome.
And that was kind of my first. It's actually, looking at the illustration now, it's absolutely awful, because obviously I've developed so much with my work now, like, but it is not great. But we loved it at the time. Like I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Probably is still, it probably still does look good, but I just see the imperfections of it now. But yeah, that was like 52 people that I drew. It took me so long. But yeah, it was amazing because then I started like having other people follow me, and that kind of like snowball effect of seeing, okay, so you do the work, you put it out there, you get other connections, kind of just opens your mind and thinks that this is how it works.
Yeah, and God, talk about go big or go home. Like going for such a big brand like that must have given you so much confidence. And I think it's just a case of starting as well. Like your first piece of work is never going to be perfect, right? But if you never start, you're never going to get to like where you are now. And I think that's something like really important to remember. Like looking back, you're never going to think it was that great.
It was, looking back at it, and also like looking back and thinking how much I didn't know, like I was winging it.
Yeah.
I was winging it the whole time, but I was also trying to pretend I was like professional as well. Like, because I think we're all just pretending, aren't we, really?
I often think that with people that, I often think that with people that are kind of that you see that are successful, are they just winging it as well? Like, are they just like, is it all just trial and error? I kind of think it is. I like to think it is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you first start, I mean, it definitely is. I mean, because you don't have, I mean, when I was at uni, I didn't have anyone telling me about business. It was all about creativity, which obviously was amazing, but like no one was saying, this is how much you should sell your print for, this is how much you should price yourself for, this is how to sell something. I've literally had to learn so much from uni. Like I've near enough self-taught with everything I've done now, because I don't think uni really helped me that much, really, to be honest. It was good for creativity and being able to express myself, like as an artist, like being able to paint and create things. But like practically, like as a business and the skills that I've acquired since uni, I'm near enough self-taught, I would say now.
Yeah, that's incredible, isn't it? And I think it just also, there is such a lack of that part of that education that we have. Like we don't get taught that in schools, we don't get taught that in uni, of actually how business works unless you go and study it. And I think that's such an important part of being able to understand that for everyone. But amazing that you've kind of learned that yourself. So how did you come about leaving London, and you then went back to Bognor, right?
Yeah, so I left London after COVID. So we had our lockdown. And I personally, my lockdown was all right because I was in house with my friends, and we had a great spring, we had a garden, we were sunbathing. But it got to like the August, where we were all allowed out. I think it was August or just a bit before that. And we were like, everything was like opening up. And then I went to Ibiza for a month, another transformation moment. And then had this feeling that I should go home now, because London just wasn't what it was at that time. Like everyone was moving out of London, like
because of COVID.
Because of COVID, it's like, because we didn't know what was going on, and everyone was moving back to their countries that they were from. There was nothing going on there, so I just thought this is a good time to kind of like maybe have a change, because I've been in London for 5 years at that point and hadn't progressed with this business that I wanted to develop. And I thought London's a bit of a distraction as well, because partying, going out, stuff like that for me personally. So then I moved back home, and wow, what a 3 years, literally.
So by home you mean to your mum's house?
So home to Bognor, home to my mum's house. And that was like emotional journey, like on roller coaster of a journey. Like I was absolutely lost. I was I was completely lost and did like reception jobs, thinking, okay, I need to start this business now. And yeah, I had like loads of mental breakdowns in that 3 years. Like I couldn't work. Like I couldn't do, like I found it really difficult to work because I was started to become quite depressed. Um, and yeah, then I worked as a receptionist in Bailiff's Court, started crying. A lot, yeah, I just started crying a lot. Like this is like, I think this is like the start of like me having a bit of a breakdown, to be honest. Because
what were you kind of thinking and feeling during that time?
I felt really trapped because I wasn't making any money at the time. I'm thinking I'm still not getting any jobs. I'd be applying for, design jobs. I'm getting rejected all the time because the competition is so high. Like that's another reason why I'm starting my own business, because the competition's so high. You get rejected all the time, near enough. So yeah, so I'm like, okay, getting rejected from jobs. The only jobs I can get are these minimum wage jobs, which they suck the soul out of you, like there's there's no there's no character. You can't even be yourself in these jobs. Like I couldn't even have my hair red. I couldn't even have my hair color red in that job. So yes, I quit that job after having like a mini breakdown. I just started crying, had to leave after 4 months. And then my mum found this job, which was like upholstery. And I was like, okay, this is good. Just, we're going to do like something creative. And I was like, finally, this could work. I've got a bit of structure now. It's a 9 to 5, my first ever 9 to 5, right? And I thought, this is it. This is it. This is everyone loves a 9 to 5. I didn't realize that no one loves a 9 to 5 at that point. But I was like, this is it. A 9 to 5. I've got structure. I go to the gym, and I can progress from this, right? Because I was thinking at the time, I was like, yeah, I can, having to put the business on the back burner, basically. So I was like, that's amazing. Anyway, they worked me so hard in this. It was basically a factory. They worked me so hard, and they kept on saying that they would give me a pay rise, and they didn't. And yeah, they didn't. They gave us like a small pay rise, and I'm like near enough 100% making the furniture, the times that I had to aim for. I was getting 100%, but yet they would still make some excuse to not give me a pay rise. And in the end, I just had this like massive breakdown. I was like, I was absolutely worn out. I'm wanting to leave my mum's house. I was there for like I was stayed there for a year and a half at this job. And I'm obviously like, my goal is to leave my mum's house. Like I love my mum, but I want my independence, right? And I was just like, how am I going to do this? They're paying me minimum wage. I'm How am I going to like ever leave my mum's? And I just started like crying again. Like, but this time it was like every single day. Like it was bad. um and yeah, then I just had this complete, then I was seeing a guy as well, which topped it off, because then I had to break out with him. So when you're not mentally feeling okay, and then you have like this kind of breakdown, yeah, that was kind of like the start of my actual like, yeah, my actual breakdown. I had for like, I'd say 6 months. It was at the end of 2022. So
What happened throughout that time?
I just became so depressed. Like I actually physically couldn't work. I've been like working so hard. So alongside obviously doing these minimum wage jobs, I was still focusing on my creative work. I was also like doing these courses. I was doing coding courses because I was getting all these rejections from these like companies that I'll be applying for. And I'm like, okay, I just need to be better. I need to be better. I need to work harder. I need to work harder. So it was also a bit of burnout because I'm working, I'm studying, I'm also creatively figuring out my business. Like, what is my business? Am I an illustrator? Am I a website designer? Like, who am I? Like, I'm figuring out all this stuff as well as getting paid minimum wage, not seeing my friends because I have no money, um, not leaving the house because there's nothing to do, and and yeah, so then I had this like absolute breakdown where I was just depressed, wouldn't want to leave my house. Um, and that literally lasted. I mean, I cried on Christmas Day. It was really sad. And yeah, I literally did not know like how I was going to like financially support myself, like because you're so tired of these rejections from these jobs that you're applying for the thing that you love, the creativity, like the design stuff is what I love, and I'm getting rejections saying no, no, no. um so yeah, so when I was going through that breakdown, um I was also seeing this guy at the same time. Absolutely loved spending time with him, like having this relationship with him, but because we wanted different things, which was totally fine for him, like I get that, and totally fine for me, I had to like finish the relationship, which I thought I was going to be like fine, but I was not. I literally like had this kind of meltdown. Like it was a really weird moment because it was like a like out of body experience, because it was like I was looking at myself with this knowledge of attachment styles and this understanding of how you should behave as an adult, let people just um let people go. But then I realized I had this attachment style. I didn't realize I had this attachment style because obviously I was going through this mental health thing anyway with my living at home, being in a job, minimum wage job that I absolutely hated, then having to break up with this guy that I really liked but couldn't be with. And yeah, like it was just such a growth moment because I was learning so much about myself in this time, and going, okay, right, we've got to go through this. I've got to go through all these emotions now, and I know it's going to be fucking hard. And then now coming out of it and being over it, it's like I learned so much about myself. It felt like I said, it felt like the universe made me kind of go through this so I could finally discover like what was going on with me. Like it was kind of like a little like a discovery moment of that I had to go through. Basically, I had to go through it to become this person that I am now. So yeah, that was like from November 2022. And then things did change. I then I started working in the clubs for a couple of months. So I started working in a strip club, which literally changed everything.
Yeah, tell us
Literally.
about that. How did that change things for you?
So yeah, so obviously when you're not making any money and you're, you're working so hard on a business that's, difficult, like, and don't want to work minimum wage jobs anymore, physically and mentally cannot do it. So my good friend, obviously, she knows me, and she was like, "Why don't you just work in a club? Like, you love dancing, and you're so comfortable with being naked.
Yeah.
Like, you can do it. Like, you'll be fine." So I was like, "Okay, okay." So yeah, then I like in what was it? Oh, actually, it was yeah, it was like March time. I started working in the club in Brighton. Um, Met loads of amazing girls there, like girls that I'm like still friends with, like absolutely love, best girls. Like, so I'm around these amazing girls, like strong, beautiful women, and then dancing to like my favorite songs on a pole, and it felt amazing. And also, like after that breakup as well that I had at the same time I was having the mental breakdown, I was like, wow, I honestly felt amazing. I felt so, I was healing from it all.
Yeah.
I was healing from all the burnout and the heartache. And then I was able to financially support myself again, but properly, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's amazing what you said about the girls that you met being, strong, beautiful women. I think there's so
Yeah.
much stigma around strip clubs and women that do that. And there's almost that kind of idea that it's a weakness, but actually to hear you talk about that real strength kind of commonality that you all had. Did you find there were real similarities in your stories, your journeys, and kind of why you were all there?
I mean, everyone was so different. Like everyone had
Yeah.
different reasons for being there. But I think a lot of it was people don't want to work for other people, basically. They want to be independent and they want to earn their own money, and you can earn a lot of money and it does give you a lot of freedom and um yeah, and also some of these girls are building businesses like me. So this
Yeah.
isn't like they're not just like dumb, beautiful girl. I don't know, like with the big boobs. So they're either like mums who are trying to support their children and who want to have like a good income for them, but they don't want to have these minimum wage jobs like that doesn't pay you anything. Or there'd be people that are doing nursing degrees. People like me having working on my business on the side. This is giving me actual time. I'd work 3 nights, then I had the rest of the week free. I had that time to actually, and I focused every single day on my business after that. I was ultra focused, so focused, and everything was kind of like coming together after that, you know.
Must have
And
felt
yeah,
so empowering to know that you were just doing that for yourself to get to where you
yeah,
want to be.
it was like, and there is so much stigma around it, right?
Mm.
And at the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm not going to say anything, like, don't want anyone to know. And I was like, actually, I don't care who knows because I'm doing this for me, for my future. I can't. I can't get any job right now that's paying me enough money for me to be able to focus on my business. I'm getting
Yeah.
paid £11 an hour,
Yeah.
and no one's employing me. Um, so yeah, there is this stigma around it, and that's just classic society, like it's gonna happen. But like it's completely changed my mindset about it. Like the girls that are just building their own businesses, buying houses, working on themselves. So they're all doing well. They're all amazing, you know. So
I really
yeah.
respect you for sharing that, because I think there'll be lots of people that are either already doing that might have these unfair feelings of shame or guilt that's put on them from society, or there's people who are maybe in the same situation that you were, you can't see a way of getting to where they want to be, and actually having that empowerment to take control and know that you can do something about it, is so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. It's okay. I'm happy to share that. It was it was a big transformation. So I felt like it had to be included.
Absolutely. It's part of your journey, right? It's part of you. And to kind of leave that out is to not tell your whole story.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. Yeah, it definitely was a big transformation. It's changed a lot for sure.
And so it enabled you to spend lots of time on your creative work, building your business. So can you talk to us about what that kind of felt like, going that sort of freelance life, and where that led you for your next step?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the stripping obviously gave me time to also think. Like, I mean, because when you're doing a minimum wage job 5 days a week, 9 to 5, you don't have time to think like creatively. And it kind of it made me start to understand who I was as a creative. It made me understand. It gave me time to understand my actual direction, what I've been trying to find out this whole time where I started it as an illustrator. I started to look into social media marketing. I started to look into branding. And it was all, I don't know, like I feel like because I had all this time, I to think I was diving into everything at that time. Like I was, and then that was kind of like I was building up something then properly. And that's when I was building up Hayley Jones Studios, which is branding, website design, social media management. Didn't have all this in my head before because my mind was in chaos mode, you know.
Yeah.
So then I then started to reach out to businesses, and felt quite confident to reach out to businesses because I spent all this time developing my skills because I had the time. Then like 2022 or no 20 okay, it's so mixed up for the years now. I think it was 2023. I started working with businesses, doing their social media, doing their branding. And then everything kind of came together for me. I was like, oh, this is what I do, you know, like so then I started to understand how I work as a freelancer, how I work as a business person, how Hayley works as an individual person, you know. Yeah. How you get good clients and you get bad clients, you know, how to deal with them. Yeah, a lot happened in 2023.
And can you share a bit about the realities of this freelance life? Because I imagine there's challenges too, right?
100%. Like, yeah, it's not a smooth ride at all, at all. You know, like although I'm like getting there, you know, I've got the business and stuff, and I'll give the proposal and I'll spend the energy like talking to people, and then they'll either ghost you. So you think that you've got the deal in the bag, and then you'll message them. This happens still to this day. You'll message them and they won't reply, and or they want to pay you, you know, like half the price of what you quoted them, which isn't really enough for the skills and the time that you're going to be putting on, that you're going to be applying to creating the website or the artwork. So yeah, those are definitely the challenges, and they still happen today. Like, you know, people will ghost you, people want to underpay you, and I find that, yeah, the ghosting is the hardest one.
Yeah, I've always been in sales, so I do totally understand what that feels like. You can really think that you know you've got a good relationship going, you've kind of met them where that you need to be, and then you're like, oh, okay, no reply. You have to be really resilient, don't you, and have a real kind of lack of fear of rejection, because you are going to get rejected a lot.
Yeah, and the rejection's never about you. That's
absolutely.
I mean, unless you're really don't know what you're doing, but but no, I don't. If the rejection's never really about you, I don't believe. Like, and also I think rejection's projection as well. So it's like, it's okay, I might not get that job, but let's move forward, or let's see where I can improve, or what happened, what went wrong there. You know, was the discovery call not good enough? Did I not get the sale in the bag quick enough? You know, all these questions that I always ask myself after that rejection happens. And then, like I said to you at the beginning of the call, everything that happens, you get better and better every time that these rejections happen anyway.
How do you maintain a sense of balance with your well-being, as well as navigating the ups and downs of your work and freelancing and, you know, your growth? How do you maintain that well-being?
That is a question. You know what, I've got to be honest with you, my self-care it was way better than it is now. Like, this is something that I'm working on at the moment, because I used to be really into fitness, really into meditation, really into journaling, and I have neglected that recently because I don't know, maybe sometimes the hustle, like, of the freelance world, and, you know, making sure that you're able to pay bills and stuff like that, can be quite full on, you know, like, especially at the early stages of like a business. Like, I still am really, like, I still haven't hit, I'm still not got work consistently flowing, so I feel like I'm still in hustle mode. So I would say my well-being, I think the best thing that I do for myself is eat healthy. Like, I like to eat good food. Like, food is definitely like something, like, I love to eat my vegetables, I love to have my protein, you know. If I'm not going out for runs, I'm making sure I'm eating well, you know, and sometimes sitting in silence. Yeah, I love sitting in silence. I love silence.
I feel like you need that though, as a bit of a kind of solitude and a break amongst all of this, because I can only imagine when you're doing your own thing, that you almost never switch off, right? Because you're always looking for opportunities, you're always looking at how can I grow a bit further today, how can I, you know, win a new client. And I imagine that's so hard to actually be really disciplined and be like, okay, I need to actually give myself this space where I'm not working, because I guess, you know, you're just trying to grow, aren't you?
Yeah, and I feel like the silence is when you get creative. You know, sometimes I have to take a step back from being, okay, I need to do this, I need to do this. And I go full throttle mode sometimes. I'm like, I've got to do everything right now. And sometimes I go, okay, we're not doing any good for myself right now. Sometimes I will completely take myself out of the creative mindset to get creative again. Like, I'll literally do nothing creative to be creative, if that makes sense. Like, I will be like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I'll do like the cleaning, or just be with people, you know, socialize, like go for a walk, whatever. But that's when I can feel the creativity like coming back to me, that energy coming back to me as well. So yeah, I feel like taking a break is definitely is how I look after myself as well, because I feel like I don't want to burn out, you know.
No,
So
exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? You can almost go too far and then it's like, how do you get back to health? So no, that's really, really helpful and some really great like nuggets there.
yeah.
So then you were kind of building up to this point where you then made the decision to leave the UK, right? So what led to that decision when you left the UK last year?
Yeah, last year in December. Well, it was always on my radar, um, like for a long time. Like I wanted to go traveling for a long time. And even though I had not a lot of savings, because I had such a shit time, like mentally, I thought we only have one fucking life. Do you know what I mean? We only live once. And why am I waiting and waiting and waiting until I've got savings? Why am I waiting until my business is doing so well? Like, I'm just gonna go now. And things, I'm a very spiritual person as well. So like I really trust my intuition. So my intuition was like, go, go. Like you'll work it out. Like it was just I was getting pulled so much by my body was telling me. So yeah, I just like, okay, we're gonna book a flight then, I guess. And yeah, I booked that flight to Thailand, and then work. This is the universe, you know. She's listening to me, you know. She's like, okay, I'm gonna reward you now. I had some work come in, a nice big job as well, like, you know. And yeah, like so I started as soon as I made that leap to trust my intuition and to go with that feeling, I was having work come in flowing more than
Almost
I
like you're
had.
attracting it.
I was
Yeah.
attracted. It was just mad. I was like, okay. I didn't look for it. It just came to me, which I just thought, wow, that's for me. I was like, when you go with, when you trust your intuition and you follow the path that's meant for you, you do get things that come back to you. You know, you get those. It's like the universe kind of answers your questions and everything that you want and gives it to you because you're not scared to follow that path. So yeah, so then I booked, so I was in Thailand navigating this co-working life, navigating how to work in a hot country, in a foreign country that I didn't know on my own, but loved it because I was like, this is amazing. I was actually in a co-working space, like in the jungle. I was like, yes. And I already
That's so
visualized
cool.
it, like, you know, like I had this all on my mood boards, you know, I had a vision board. Um, and it's like, create a vision board. They're important, 100%.
How do you think that
Because
vision board helped you then?
you're seeing it every single day. And yeah, like it kind of like instills it prints into your mind. You're seeing it every day. You can put keywords on there and stuff. And yeah, I just feel like it was something that you look at and you're like, okay, it was a reminder that like I'm on a mission.
Mhm.
I'm struggling right now, but that's my goal. That's my goal this year. That was my goal for end of 2023. And I was like, that's what I've got. That's what's going to happen. So the vision board was good, definitely, because it was
Literally
that
gonna do one
reminder.
tonight.
Honestly, it was that reminder, and I made it all beautiful, and you know, made it kind of like I printed things out. Like people do a lot of digital mood boards, which is great, but I feel like it's the interaction with finding the images, printing them out, cutting them, sticking them down, like really like a little scrapbook kind of like way, you know, it's like a little creative project. You're interacting with it, you're connecting with it with your mind and body and, you know, your hands and stuff. So it's all kind of flowing through you. And I feel like that energy going through is kind of like a manifestation as well. So that's why I always think you should you're going to do a vision board, do like an actual physical one.
I
Because
love that. Like the art of actually, like you say, like ripping bits out of a magazine or like finding things, like you've put that much effort in, like you've actually created that. And I can imagine you have such a better connection than just a background on your phone.
Yeah, 100%. Like I've made a vision board, but it's not the same. Like I didn't connect with it. But when I made one myself, I was like, it just felt more personal, you know? So
I love it.
yeah, that's definitely, yeah, it all came true. Some of them, not all of them yet.
Yet is the key word though, right? And
Yeah.
then you went to Bali from Thailand, right? So how was Bali for you?
Bali was amazing because I went to another co-working space and it was such a good co-working space because I met like amazing people there, like really that networking. I've met the most amazing people there, like who taught me a lot of things, you know, like amazing women, you know, motivational speakers. Like it was crazy. Like another girl, a friend of mine, um, I met her and we went to Uluwatu together, and she was a graphic designer as well. So we were like, you know, we were all working on a project and we'd be like, oh, can you just help me with this? Or, you know, what do you think of this? And we both like had such a transformative time together because it was just us two. And we were like, we don't really have any like other designer friends that we, you know, that we can be like this with. So we had like a, yeah, great relationship. Our businesses excelled when we were together. It like really like kind of like flew up. Yeah, so Bali was amazing because I met loads of entrepreneurs, you know, inspiring people who are motivated every day to work out, to focus on their business, focus on their well-being, their mental health, everything. So it was really inspiring to be around those people.
Kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier, like when you're in London and being around like-minded individuals to what you're interested in, but also people that you aspire to, people who are doing better than you, so that you can learn and grow. And I can only imagine what that feels like in such a, you know, close environment. You're seeing them every day. That must have been in a short time, really, like had such an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I'm still connected with them now, you know, like one of the girls sent me she does like motivational talks. And she sent me like a journal. She does mindset talks actually. She sent me this journal, and it's called The Ultimate Goal. And I don't have, like I said, I haven't been journaling for ages. And yeah, like she sent me that, and it's amazing because it really was thought provoking, and she just sent me everything like that just because she wanted like a little review for the booklet. So yeah, it's nice to stay in touch with everyone from it as well, and to helping everyone out, and they help me and I help them, you know, still to this day. So yeah.
Amazing. And I can imagine there's a lot of listeners at the moment that are considering, you know, embarking on this adventure, whether it's going traveling, whether it is starting a new business or trying out a new town or a new city. What advice would you give to someone considering either a similar path or starting a solo adventure?
I would say like go with it. I feel like your body and your intuition knows more than you know, if that makes sense. Like I feel like these thoughts and feelings are put they're there for a reason, you know. And the only thing stopping you is your mind, you know, that kind of like imposter syndrome, whatever. I would say it's there for a reason, and you either need to like book a flight, go wherever you feel like going, because there's a reason for that, or start that business up, because that, and also that business might not be the business that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life or whatever. I'm not an illustrator anymore. Sometimes I might be, but it's a start, and it leads you on to these like, it leads you onto something that you're not even expecting. So I just think, yeah, just go with it, because I feel like it's there for a reason. There's a reason that we feel emotion to do something. It's that intuition, you know, it's that kind of like spirit guide telling you.
So that feeling, isn't it? And to trust yourself when you feel like, I feel like, you know, some people, I know that for me as well, I've always had this feeling like I should be doing, I could be doing something better. I know I'm going to achieve something. I know I've got, you know, more to give this world. And I think it's just really leaning into that, isn't it? Of like, okay, I need to really follow that. I've got this fire, I've got this ambition. I just need to like use it and kind of channel it in a way that's going to help me grow. And I think it's like you say, listening to yourself.
Yeah, and I get that feeling as well. Like I'm always like, because I got rejected from a job the other day. I had a really bad interview with him. He called me up and he was in a restaurant. Like it was a really weird interview. Like, and I couldn't really express myself properly because I was so like, I felt like the phone call was chaotic. I couldn't think. So anyway, I didn't get the job. But I feel like these things happen. I don't know why I was saying this now, but these things happen because it's leading you onto another path. Like, even though I went for the interview, did the interview, it was, you know, I'm still not going, oh, maybe I shouldn't be a designer anymore. You know, I'm still thinking, I trust that. And
Yeah.
I know I'm here for better things. I know that the reason why I didn't get the job is because working for myself is my sole purpose, to be my own boss, to have my own creativity. So
I love that.
that was my mindset when another rejection happened.
Yeah, that self-belief, isn't it? So important. So important.
Yeah.
Obviously with a journey like this, there's lots of uncertainty. And I
Yeah.
guess, how do you navigate that? The uncertainty, how do you overcome these setbacks? Because that could
Yeah.
really help people who are in a similar situation or looking to do something that you've done.
I guess for me, like I always have this faith of everything's gonna work out. For me, like I genuinely I feel like anything's uncertain, really. But I'm always like my friend was who I'm with now, she's like, everything always works out. And everything always does,
Yeah.
right? So you might be stressed right now. And like I've had moments, you know, recently, I've had no money, zero, you know, and I'm stressing. And then obviously I'll find a way to make money again, you know. But no, the like, you know, as a creative, you're always thinking of ways, like especially for someone who wants to work for themselves, you'll always find a way to make money or to get where you want. So I honestly just believe it's believing in yourself and knowing that everything does actually work out. It's just having that faith, you know, because I feel like when you start thinking the worst and start going, oh, nothing's going to work out, or everything always bad happens to me, like negative thoughts, I feel like you do attract that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite a positive person. And I think being positive and optimistic, I'd say most of the time I am. I think I do get those moments. So I'm like, oh shit, you know? But yeah, I genuinely just feel like having that positive mindset really does help. Mindset,
Yeah.
you know?
I really agree with you as well. And I think the believing that everything will work out, like there's a difference between believing in kind of fate and believing that you can control it. Like I kind of like to think that, yes, okay, everything will work out, but you also do have the power to make that happen and to have an impact, rather than just think, oh, it's just going to happen in the way it happens. I think you've also got that control, and I think that's quite liberating, because, you know, life can be shit. We are going to come up to setbacks in our personal life, our professional life, but knowing that you can kind of do something about it is helpful, I think.
100%. I don't think you should be sat there thinking, you know, they say about manifesting, you still got to take action. I'm not going to sit there and wait on fate. You know, I'm not going to go, everything's going to be fine. I'm still moving.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still like doing the thing, but knowing that you moving and you taking action, everything will work out then, you know. Yeah, I think, my mindset 100%.
Love it. No, that's really, really important. I also want to give you some time to talk about your business, share with us, you know, what your mission, your services and values are, and perhaps where you're going, what your vision is for your business as well.
Yeah, so my business is digital design. So I love I love building businesses, and I actually couldn't pinpoint one specific thing that I wanted to do. So digital design covers everything that I love. So I work with businesses to build their brand, their strategy. So if it's brand identity, it'd be like the look and feel of the company, but the strategy goes into like the nitty gritties, the looks at the competitors, looks at your goals, and it will help you kind of like have like a clear pathway of where you want to go, you know. So I help businesses build on that, and then alongside we build on the brand identity as well, which we're kind of like partners up together. And yeah, so website design as well is something that I normally do with businesses when I do their branding as well, because normally when someone comes to me, they're like, can I either have a website? Can I have a branding? They don't either have, they have one of them or they don't have, you know, so I do that kind of together as well. Yeah, social media is what I do as well, helping people with their social media management, or just designing their social media management, you know, because sometimes people don't know how to kind of organize it very well. So yeah, I think that's kind of everything, and like also the illustrations as well I still do. And yeah, so where I'm heading at the moment is obviously focusing on the branding and the websites, building up on that as well, like, you know, taking on more clients and kind of like excelling in those areas, but also looking into animation as well at the moment, which is really exciting because animation, I think, brings a brand to life. So this is a new skill that I'm learning. You know, I want to see typography jumping up and down a screen, you know. It's exciting. So yeah, that's something that I'm developing in this in my business at the moment. But yeah, for me, it's literally, my goal is to be building businesses, you know. I like to work with different businesses, but my goal is just to keep doing what I'm doing, you know, working, being able to be freelance. That's such a privilege. I love that lifestyle. So yeah, those are my goals really. And being able to travel as well, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
having that freedom.
Just having that freedom of choice, like you say, is brilliant. And I think it just sounds so exciting. You've got what feels like a really holistic offering when it comes to a business's brand, because there's so many parts and elements to that, which I think you cover. So I'm really excited to see where you go next. But where can people find you? So if they're interested in reaching out and maybe speaking to you, where can people find you?
So my Instagram is Hayley Jones _studio. And then my website would be hayleyjones.studio. And you'll be able to find my Instagram or my website on either of them anyway. But yeah, they're the two platforms that I use mainly.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the episode today. I think we've covered so much ground and it's been really inspiring just hearing your story and the kind of self-discovery you've been through, the resilience you've been through, and the honesty you've given around the challenges to kind of pursue your passion, which I think is the kind of common thread that I've heard throughout all of this, even from when you were little, was like you had this thing that you loved and this passion, and despite other parts of your life going in slightly different directions, that's been a common thread and a common goal for you. And that's been really kind of powerful to hear that.
That's really nice to hear, actually. That's when you say it like that, that has definitely been the mission my whole life, for sure.
And it shows what you can achieve if you kind of don't let go of that. You know, I think so many people look back on their life and regret not continue with their passion, or something else has happened and they've kind of not had the courage or the confidence to really follow that dream. And you know, I encourage everyone to really kind of reflect on their own journeys and think about your goals, and to create that mood board, that vision board, and think about what you really want, because I think you said it quite well earlier, like it's your life and you've only got kind of one shot at this. So and you know, it's too short to not enjoy the journey.
For sure. No, definitely 100% believe that.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining. You're amazing. So good to see you. And for listeners at home, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening. Leave a review and let me know what you think, and make sure you follow the self-service on Apple or Spotify. You've also got my Instagram, which is at the self-service _. So make sure you share the episode, and look forward to catching you next time to discover the power of self-service.